So I'd like to introduce one of our certified quantum EFT practitioners, the first in New Zealand, Lisa Reardon. And Lisa was a physio in her pre-EFT days, like I was an occupational therapist in my pre-EFT days. So we have a similar background. Lisa, you've been doing quantum EFT for a while now.
Mhm.
How's it been for you with your clients?
Oh, wow. Thank you, Jenny. It's lovely to see you and lovely to connect. I've been using Quantum EFT for probably a couple of years now. I'm coming up to recertification, so that's 2 years. And the short story is that I initially studied EFT back in the late 1990s. So I was one of the early adopters of EFT
Hmm.
and did some early training in 2014 and then got qualified in clinical EFT a number of years ago. And I'm currently still a mentor for EFT Universe. And you were my trainer for clinical EFT. And when you started to mention quantum EFT, I thought, oh, there's something that's really speaking to my soul. And I choose those words very carefully.
Mm.
So I studied that as well. And when I'm working with my EFT students, I keep my clinical EFT hat on,
Hmm.
but actually I'm transitioning out of that and working with quantum EFT because I feel now the energies support more of that way of not even really understanding, really. Like there's just a knowing, I think, for a lot of people that just appreciate how intertwined everything really is. Like we are not linear. And I feel the timing of this is so good to help people really heal from some very deep recurring patterns, perhaps that don't logically make sense.
Mm.
So it's been a wonderful tool, and I'm delighted to be able to offer that to my clients.
Mm. Give me an example of how it's really transformed somebody's life that you've worked with.
Oh, right. Yeah, I've got a number of them actually. So it's not even something that someone has to believe in. That's probably been the biggest thing. And I've had people that go, I don't believe in past lives. Um, and there's no requirement to do so. And I'm certainly not pushing any agenda on them at all. But
Mm.
when we're using EFT, when we're using the tap-in points and using language to instruct our unconscious, which is our body, and everything that goes with that, to
Mm-hmm.
find where this first began. So, probably the first memory I can think of was a woman who has a history of complex PTSD,
Mm-hmm.
present life. And when I was having her follow that back, when did you first feel that in your body? So, however, that was showing up for her. And we were going really gently with her, of course, because she's quite a complex history. And she said, I'm in my mother's womb.
Mm-hmm.
I'm there waiting, like a couple of months to go, but I'm there getting ready to be born.
Mm-hmm.
And so, present life, but very young life, I
Mm-hmm.
had her, I had her explain what is that like for you? And she's like, well, mum is really stressed because she'd lost two babies before me, and she was told to get pregnant straight away. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm that baby. And I
Mm-hmm.
said, so how is your mother? And it's like, she's really stressed. So I had present day client go back to that little one, and we actually ended up putting glittery, loving amniotic fluid going through every piece and part of that little one. So we had
Mm-hmm.
her imagine doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had the client tap on her mother
Mm-hmm.
to help the mother while she was going through this very risky pregnancy.
Mm-hmm.
And look, we could say we're just making it all up. It actually doesn't matter because what happened was there was such a peace and a joy
Mm.
as she tuned into that little one to imagine what that must be like to now breathe in that loving amniotic fluid. Like that's got to help, right? Regardless
Yeah.
of whether it's
Yeah,
true or not.
and quantum EFT, people think that it's just about past lives, but we're working
Yeah,
in the quantumness of time and space, and that can
absolutely.
be anywhere. But we're also working with that soul flavor, I guess you could say, isn't it? Where we're also looking at what's happening at a soul level, what's the higher learning and lesson. And have you had, give us an example of another client, perhaps?
Would just, if I can say
Mm,
just before I give you that, which I've got so many to choose from, but what I did with that one, with that loving energy, is I had the client take that through her future timeline, right
mm,
through to present and out into the future. So
hmm.
she knew she's got this loving, I'm getting chills as I
Yeah.
remember that. Um, so she's got that loving energy waiting for her on her timeline when she gets into the human
Mm,
linear timeline, because
yeah.
it's all happening now, right?
Yeah.
Another one, and I have permission for this, and some people may guess who I'm talking about, a client that came to me for some physical issues,
Hmm.
and I had him tap, again, where did this first show up for you? And he said, "Oh, I recognize this lifetime.
Hmm.
I'm a samurai and I've got my sword and I'm killing people."
Hmm.
And so I said to him, and again, I work quite intuitively when I'm
Yeah.
doing this because I, I'm connecting as well. And I said, well, it was a kill or be killed world. Like
Hmm.
you had no choice. Back in those times, they were
Hmm.
very hard energies.
Hmm.
And so we tapped on that soul, that samurai, and I had him float up above that
Mm.
and go up to higher and higher to the soul planning meeting. So if we imagine that before we come down into this physical representation, that
Mm.
as a soul we actually have a planning meeting, and we have our soul family around us who are souls that are agreeing to play certain
So
roles
fun.
so that we can get the learnings that we want. And I asked him to connect with the creator source and that, and ask for why did I choose that lifetime? Why did I choose that?
Mm.
And he got the higher learning of that and the life lessons, and had that, gave those resources to that soul, to that samurai,
Hmm.
and integrated all of that. And when he popped out and we had a chat, he said, "Gosh, this lifetime, I've had an aversion to knives.
Mm.
Use them, but I've hated knives and I've never known why." And I was like,
Mm.
interesting.
Mm.
And he said there was no logical reason. He hasn't had a bad experience this lifetime. He's
Mm.
had a real aversion to even the word blood, like it's been a thing. So
Yeah.
this is like I call it like the stain or an essence of a memory that doesn't logically make sense. And that's where, when we use quantum EFT, I'm telling you, you
Mm.
created it, that it can help clear that
Yes.
at a deep soul level from all of those pieces and parts of us. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's great.
And of course, the foundational background of the spiritual learnings behind quantum EFTs from Cryon, and
Mm,
Cryon will often say that that these are like stains on wood, these patterns on our in our multi-dimensional DNA, isn't it?
mm, yes.
And so there's so many things that we learn to master in quantum EFT. So well done for mastering all of that and for really helping your clients.
Mm. Thank
And
you. And one of the beautiful gifts, as well as clearing up, it's the same philosophy. There's no point just painting over dirty walls. So a lot of our EFT work, obviously in the beginning, is to clean our walls, get it nice and clean, and then we can write whatever we want of our own graffiti,
mm,
and make a really fresh, beautiful palace. We really can create. So the ability to mine the
mm,
Akash for those beautiful gifts. Like every time we've been here, We've
mm,
come here with a reason to learn, and we've learnt gifts.
mm,
And, it's why not mine that for the gold that it is? It's like
mm,
we don't have to relearn stuff. It's actually all there. And my biggest journey, and I'll share this,
mhm,
just before this interview, I was looking for my quantum EFT notes because I am coming up for recertification in about a week or so. I could not find them at all. And
mhm,
the old me would have really fretted about that. And I just had a laugh. I was like, okay, you guys are having a bit of a laugh with me.
mhm,
And they just, I found a book first, and then it was like, oh, okay, we're on a bit of a treasure hunt here. And the notes turned up.
mhm,
And I looked for this book in the same place and it wasn't there. And then on the fourth time I looked, it was there. And I just was like, okay, I got it. It's all right. So that for me is to not be perfect. Like that's an old pattern. So it was really fun just before coming on to see you today. And thank you for
mm.
the opportunity.
Yeah, thank you. It's great to see these soul patterns not only get healed, but to mind the Akash and to re-experience actual gifts and talents and experiences that were positive in other lifetimes and bring them back. And so that's what you're able to do with quantum EFT as well. So thank you, Lisa.
Oh, thank you, Jenny. Thank you for your pioneer spirit.